correct. We're starting the game between Thijs and Ostkaka. This is the first one. It's a matchup between a rogue and a warlock. We didn't see the warlock in the first game from Thijs because it got banned, so it will be way different right now. Let's see. I actually wanted to just point out to the viewers that we now have a count of the cards in the decks, which is an amazing feature. This is always what I wanted to see, and I'm very happy to see it actually in those games because it adds a lot of information and affects the decision making by the players. So, turn 1, and the usual opener, small-time Buccaneer into the patch. This is like the new, let's say, powerful thing you can do on the third turn 1, right, Falcone?
Yeah, but into the Mortal Coil from the Warlock, which is actually pretty much always a keep nowadays against any pirate deck because there are so many minions with 1 health, patches included.
That's definitely true, especially when you're going second, because then you don't lose the tempo, right? When you're going first, you can keep the Mortal Coil, but if you use it on turn 2, you can tap.
Yeah, and as we can see now, the Warlock is being heavily rewarded. He's got Dirty Rat if he wants to, although as we can see that wouldn't turn out so well for him. But Doomsayer is very, very strong itself. It's not easy to deal with. In fact, it's not even possible to deal with for the Rogue right now.
That's true. Actually, Dirty Rat, when you mention him, I think it's now my favorite card in the entire expansion.
Right.
It's insanely valuable. I mean, in some matchups against usual pirate decks, you can just coin it out or play it on turn 2, sure, because there's a chance that your opponent will have a small minion. But in the control matchups, and I perceive this rogue kind of like a more control-ish version because it plays a lot of minions that are, you know, kind of valuable, like Azadred, like Gadsden, like a Tomb Pillager. They're kind of hard to deal with Dirty Rat. But in general, this Dirty Rat can swing the board, basically, if you have a chance of using a Shadow Bolt, an example. You can play Dirty Rat, your opponent gets the Gadsden out, and then you Shadow Bolt.
Yeah,
For 5 mana, you destroy his entire game plan.
Yeah, and against other control decks, if Dirty Rat can force your opponent's Kazakus out early, or one of the powerful Discover cards, or even a Bran, when they don't want to play the Bran.
I mean, there are so many combos. Bran Dirty Rat into MC Tech.
Right.
You can have just Dirty Rat with Shadow Flame, an example, to force out your opponent playing a minion that you will not get an advantage of, right?
Yeah.
Hellfire, Demon Rat, there's so many options that you can do, and Dirty Rat seems to be one of the MVPs in the Reno Warlocks.
Yeah, when the card was first announced, people thought Deathlord replacement, and then they thought, actually, no, it seems bad. And now, it's definitely found a place in these control decks. And look at this start that Ostkaka has had here. He's got Senjin Shieldmaster onto the board with nothing facing it down, and it really has just kind of shut down the Rogue.
Ostkaka needs to... Ostkaka needs to play the Azadred on turn 5, which is never a bad play, but the problem is, when you face a minion already on board, you kind of lose value out of it, right?
Right.
So what are the options for Thijs? Actually, what is his game plan here? Because the deck kind of strives to get to the late game, but at the same time, he has the explosiveness of Leroy Jenkins incorporated into the deck. What do you think? How he wants to approach this game?
I think his game plan at the moment is just survive the early game of the Pirate Rogue. It's interesting that you were calling it a control, because in the past we'd have never imagined a deck with South Sea Deckhand and cards like Patches to be considered a control deck. But it's like it's got a powerful bursty early game and then very little mid game, and then, like you said, a kind of control-y end game. So at the moment, Thijs just wants to survive. But now we can see a very key card in Ostkaka's Rogue deck.
That is actually very interesting. The red Mana Worm, something I personally didn't anticipate that it will make a splash.
No.
Because it's when I kind of was thinking about the card, I was like, yeah, well, this is way too slow to be just a better Mana Worm, you know? But it seems like in some builds, like in this Rogue, when you have so many spells, you have Counterfeit for coin. Well, you can have a coin as well, but perhaps backstabs and well, usual package, right? Saps, eviscerate. There's so many spells that can buff this red Mana Worm to be a finisher for 5 mana.
And the really strong thing about it is that it's kind of just like a slightly more expensive questing adventurer that gains attack twice as fast. So
that's a very good comparison.
You play 5 spells, you don't gain 5/5, you gain 10 attack. And I mean, I know that I've been killed by red Mana Worm already several times, and I'm sure I will be many times in the future.
Right now, Thijs needs to find an answer to that Garrison, and it doesn't feel good when you need to do that stuff. Wow.
At least he clears the Gadget Zan Auctioneer. In the previous few series, Tice with his Priest actually really struggled to get rid of Auctioneer, because obviously Priests just find it very difficult to deal with the card. So Leroy is better than nothing. And you may have given the Rogue some whelps, but they're not actually going to do that much in the long run.
They need to print a card for the Priest, like Shadow Ward, Mediocre Pain, so it kills a 4-attack minion.
Yeah.
It's not death, it's not pain, it's just like in between, I guess. But then it's kind of bad, because it kills on the minions with 4-attack, right?
Yeah, you're right. I think that card may even end up being good. Well, no, the meta would switch, and suddenly the 4/4s wouldn't be as good anymore. But in the meta that we see today, with the Zerdrakes and Gadgetzan Auctioneers being everywhere, yeah, that card would be great.
That's true. Although the Azure-Drakes are not that popular as they had been.
No.
Because we have another 5-drop that is kind of dominating in Dragon decks, an example in the Priest, right? The Dragon Operative. But people still tend to kind of squeeze both.
Yeah. Because Dragon Priests used to struggle a little bit with card draw, but when you've got 2 Discover cards in the Netherspire Historian, 2 more Discover cards in the Operatives, and then both the Zerdrakes as well, it's got all the card draw you need.
And you can get a Dragonite Operative from the Netherspire Historian
Yep,
as
and
well,
then
right?
in the mirror get another Netherspire and repeat.
Yeah, but look at that. A second red mana of them. The first one was killed with ease, because it was just a Shadow Bolt and a Demon Wrath to kill everything on board, but now this will get tricky.
So the question is, well, that I was about to ask is, does Ostkaka now need to hold on to this red mana worm as a win condition? Obviously the answer is no. He needs to put something on the board. Tice dealt with the first one efficiently. Maybe he can't deal with this one.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, 6 HP? What are the options? Siphon Soul.
Right.
The new potion for the Warlock. For 4 mana, kill a minion and destroy your own mana crystal, right? There would have been an answer as well. What are the other options? Basically running out of any other options.
Yeah.
Shadow Flame is not enough unless...
Twisting Nether.
yeah, Twisting Nether. But that's the thing about Reno Warlock. There are so many builds that you can play, right? An example, I'm a fan of playing without Leroy.
Right.
Then you have space for more board tools,
so more just
right?
outlast your opponent, that kind of deal. Maybe Jiraxxus.
Tice seems to be a fan of the more explosive version, but it kind of lacks more answers to the board. So now the thing is, how do you deal with that second red mana verm? Because the damage is not there. You can deal 3 damage, so you can kill the Small-Time Buccaneer, but you get 3 damage to the face. You're at 13, and your opponent still has his turn. If those are 3 spells, that means that the red mana verm will get 8. Right. There's 1 already on board. That means there's so much damage coming to your face, you can just die next turn.
Yeah, and Tice absolutely knows that those 3 cards are all spells, as Dirty Rat didn't summon anything.
Exactly.
So
that's another good point with the Dirty Rat. You get so much information, it can affect how you're playing the game, right?
It's not quite lethal yet. It's, what is this, 12 damage? Something like that?
Well, Sap is +2, and then plus 2 from... Basically, wait, that's a Demon Fuse, right? It can't be played on anything not a Demon. Okay, now he got the coin. Get the coin. So, Sap puts Mana Verm on 6 attack, coin on 8. That's 11, 12. Well, even with the Demon Fuse, you can't really do much.
It's really close there. Like, he can play his whole hand now if he wants to.
But the problem is, what if your opponent has a Reno?
Yeah, that's
and then you just lose the entire burst that you just did.
That's really the reason the whole reason. Funnily enough, the reason Reno Warlock is so strong is actually still because of Reno Jackson. Deck might struggle a little bit in the next rotation, but at the moment, you're right. Tice picking up Reno would just pretty much end the game here almost.
Oh well, when's the next rotation?
Yeah.
It's like ages.
Quite a few months of Reno tyranny first.
All right, what's the draw? That's actually a very decent draw. The Bruiser is another tool that can make is kind of like allowing Reno Warlock to make a comeback, or even just spare some damage in the beginning of the game. So kind of like that.
That 7 mana minion doesn't quite deal with the whole board. Tice can't actually deal with red mana worm this turn. He can play 2 taunts. If he had 1 more mana, he could play 3 taunts, which would definitely have been pretty helpful right around now.
Yeah, that's true. Tice has the information that there are no minions in the hand, right? Because the agent was drawn as the turn draw.
No, counterfeit coin has been picked up since then. That could be a minion.
Wait, how that happened?
Fan of Knives, I think?
Oh yeah, right. Fan of Knives, exactly. So yeah, there's no certainty that there might be still a minion in the opponent's hand. But I guess it's still, you can just drop 2 taunters and that should be
Ooh, it's not quite enough.
for the next turn.
Yeah. Next turn, it's a full board kill. It's still not Reno Jackson, but this is going to eat up a lot of damage.
No minion being played. Dirty Red is becoming really a huge annoyance for Ostkaka. Ooh, another spell, but no sap.
Yeah, that's so the Eviscerate isn't quite enough, is it? That Dirty Rat, sorry, that Red Mana Worm has to trade with something.
Probably with the Dirty Rat. So if you
Right,
play
yeah.
the Dirty wait. Eviscerate deals 4 damage. You can finish off the Bruiser with the attack from the dagger and can squeeze in 3 damage to the face with the agent, basically.
Ostkaka is running out of time to win this game, though. Very, very soon. His win conditions, if we're calling the Red Mana Worm his win conditions, they're going to run out, and it's just a matter of when Reno Jackson gets picked up.
The thing is, if the Reno Jackson will not get picked, and there will be no more taunts in the way to stop even Dagger from attacking, this might actually end really fast
That's
as
a
well.
good point, yeah.
So he needs either a Refreshment Vendor, because he used the Farseal. So there's Refreshment Vendor, Master of Mixtures that can be used with the Hellfire, which kinda adds +1 on the Hellfire.
Yeah, but that's
rollback.
fine, because I'd rather be on 9 health in Theis's position than on, what would that be, 5?
I really like this trade, by the way. This way, there's no way that the Hellfire kills
Yeah.
the Red Mana Vim, and it seems that there's no way of dealing with the Red Mana Vim.
Yeah.
So you need to tap to get an answer, and the answer might be a Siphon Soul, might be Reno Jackson to just heal yourself back to 30, so you'll be at halfway.
That only ends up
after the
being a
turn.
temporary fix, though.
Yeah,
Reno
but
Jackson
it's
at
something.
6.
There's a
Siphon Soul! Oh my goodness!
Well, that was needed.
Wow. Wow, this is another incredibly close comeback from Theis today.
He's on.
Well, I don't want to call it a comeback. This game is not over yet.
Yeah, definitely. Still, he will be still low on health in the upcoming turns. Because let's say he goes to 9 here, and he will. Then facing him is already 3 attack from the agent and 1 from the dagger. A second agent can be comboed, and that means you need to make an estimate. You didn't see a Hellfire yet. You didn't see the new Enforcer being played as well. So if you attack the face and play the second agent, you lose the 2 damage output from the combo. But you need to just play your outs here.
All right. And so Ostkaka's going for it. He's assuming that there's no way of clearing this. He could win if there's no way of clearing this.
Let's see what will be the play for.
Okay.
Oh, there's the Mistress.
Okay.
So now we can combo that with the Enforcer. That means you will get back to 9 HP and then get 3 damage from the Hellfire.
If he's
Do you like
desperate,
that?
does he ever play Faceless Manipulator on it and then play Hellfire? Mistress of Mixtures, Faceless Manipulator, Hellfire?
I think he needs a minion on board.
Right.
So it's better to play Enforcer because then you can dictate the trade next turn. Every single minion that your opponent will play. So Tomb Pillager, Gazetton, all those minions will die to the minion on board. So you don't need to rely on a draw to get back into the game. So I really like this way better.
It's strong.
And now, no tap, definitely no tap, because then you die to a Eviscerate, though the second Eviscerate. But now the Gazetton is awkward. You can't even play that. I mean, you can, but then your opponent's minion will get to 9/9, and you will draw a card.
You have to, right? You're getting so late into the game, you need to draw your win as fast as you possibly can.
Well, he needs to stop the preparation now.
Right.
Now that's an Azure Drake.
It could still be lethal next turn. You hit face with the weapon, you play Drake next turn, you get Eviscerate. That could still be lethal.
Yeah, and it's actually not that uncommon. 9 cards in deck. That means you will be at 8 cards next turn, and if that card is not still Eviscerate, you can draw another one with Azure Drake. So that's actually, you know, quite a cool.
And we have only seen one, I think.
Yes, we've only seen one Eviscerate. For Theis, though, he can still have some outs. Refreshment Vendor, Jaraxxus.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if he's playing Jaraxxus, because he's playing Reno Jenkins, so there might be no Jaraxxus in the deck.
Sure.
Maybe he's playing Alexstrasza. I have seen people playing with Alexstrasza in Reno Warlocks again. So this might be also an interesting tag. The deck is nuts, by the way. There are so many builds that are good in a specific metagame, it's so many builds that you can try.
Which makes it very difficult to play around. But there's the Reno Jackson.
Reno Jackson seals the deal basically here, because you kill the auctioneer, your opponent's just left with one card, and you are back to square one, which is 30 HP, even with the additional tap. Refreshment Vendor is just icing on the cake or the salt to the wins of your opponent, and that's a concede. I like this, by the way. Whenever usually right now, whenever just someone plays the Reno Warlock, you just Reno Jackson, you just concede immediately.
Thijs just like had a visible sigh of relief there. That is a very nice.
It's a hat, but it looks retarded when I have it on my headphones because then I can't pull it on. Anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't really work, does it?
Yeah, it doesn't work. What a game.
Yeah.
I actually love watching those games in the new metagame because we have decks that are not really easy to play with. There's a lot of decision making, especially with Druids. We have so many builds right now, and we see that Ostkaka is actually playing a version without Jade.
Okay, well, yeah, it's very similar to the version that we saw Zigso playing in the last series. Also wasn't running Jade, but Curator is different.
I'm kind of trying to think if Sixo was playing the Curator. We have seen the entire deck.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing a Curator. It was Kuhn, but otherwise a pretty regular from Karazhan Druid. But yeah, it seems slightly different.
Okay.
I guess
the reason why I'm saying it's definitely not Jade is just because Maya Keeper makes no point.
Yeah, for sure.
If you play Maya Keeper, that means you're not playing Jade Blossom. And you don't want to play like 6 mana ramp cards.
Yeah.
8 with Innervates, because that's basically you lose like win conditions in the deck. So let's talk about the opening hands. For Skaka, no ramp, so that's a problem. But he has the coin into the Maya Keeper, so that's always something.
Yeah, turn 3 ramp on coin doesn't feel good, but Thijs on the other hand picks up Dirty Rat again, Doomsayer, and a Mountain Giant.
The Mountain Giant will be a huge swing, which can be played right now, and that's insane when you think about it. Because usually the Druids nowadays, they don't run Mulch, although we have seen Sixo.
Sixo had one,
had a Mulch in his deck. So I'm guessing, because of the fact that Ostkaka and Sixo were former teammates, they might have played this together for this tournament. So maybe Ostkaka also has this out in his deck. Alexstrasza.
Alexstrasza. Oh, well, it's another dragon, I guess. Another card for the Curator. You'd expect to see Malygos as the dragon rather than
definitely.
Alexstrasza, but this is definitely interesting. Ostkaka able to deal with the Mountain Giant there, which is pretty huge. That 8/8 would have just single-handedly won the game without an answer within the next few turns. But Thijs, I don't think he's complaining. He still has a lot of options here.
I mean, when you think about it, you just sacrifice one card and your opponent had to lose tempo of an entire 10-5, lose a Maya Keeper, lose a half of the card, right? Because he still owns the mana crystal from it. But the thing is, you lose a lot of tempo by doing that, dealing with that board retroactively. By the way, that's an interesting way of playing the Bruiser, because there's still a way that your opponent will have 3 minions, but at the same time, when you play against a Druid...
Yeah, I was going to ask you about this. Like, what do you actually play off-curve and go with the Ascendant Shieldmaster to conserve the potential 3-mana Bruiser? But I guess against a Druid, you maybe don't expect a board full of minions.
That's one of the reasons that might have been happening. But also another case is that he might play the Bruiser because of the fact that it deals with Azure Drakes on ease. Right?
Yeah, that's very good. That's a very good point there, because now, as we can see, Ostkaka's kind of stuck there with 2 Mana Drakes that don't do anything, and Thijs is nodding his head. You're right, that's exactly what he wanted to see this turn.
He still has Shadow Bolt.
Yeah, he does have Shadow Bolt.
It can just be Shadow Bolt and go face, or what you can do is you can play Sylvanas and trade with the Azure Drake, but that makes you really weak to a swipe hero power.
Yeah.
Because then you lose the entire board, your opponent doesn't develop the board, but Sylvanas is lost. And I think in this metagame, when Thijs already have seen the deck from Xixo, right? He can assume that it's very, very similar to the ones from Ostkaka, and that means he will save the Sylvanas for the Ancient of Wars.
Okay. I mean, the Shadow Bolt is always going to be useful in Thijs' deck. There's definitely going to be another Azure Drake, and probably other minions that have full health as well. There's a Mulch, you were saying. Yep. There's probably a Mulch because of Ostkaka and Zix's friendship, and there we go. There is a Mulch. The Swipe Hero Power play still works.
Yeah, I like it. I really like, actually, the Thijs play, because of the fact that you still kind of bait out removal from your opponent, and if he doesn't remove those minions, then that means he's just curving out, right? Oh my
What are
god,
these cards?
Cold Light Oracle!
And Malygos with Alexstrasza as well. Two huge 9-mana dragons.
So there needs to be an Aviana in this deck as well, like 100% needs to be there.
Well, Ostkaka did promise we would see decks that we're not expecting, and I can wholeheartedly say I was not expecting anything like this.
Definitely. So now let's see, what are the options? He can sacrifice a 4-1, the Bruiser, and finish off his opponent's minion with an Enforcer, but then 3 damage is being dealt to the Sen'jin Shieldmaster as well, which is not the perfect solution.
You've still got a bigger board though than you do right now. If
Yeah,
Toast goes for that play.
I agree. And a 6/6 minion for the Druid is actually quite a headache to deal with, right? And you already have a Shadow Flame and a Sylvanas to have like a 10-10 comeback mechanism, which is amazing in this matchup because you usually just kill everything apart from 1 minion.
Sure.
And that's a huge swing. So I really like that. You also have a plan for turn 8 because you can always play Bran with Dirty Rat and then use the Shadow Flame on anything. Sorry, that's 1 mana short. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, turn 9 then, but
turn 9, yes.
still
But you can
definitely-
also do Dirty Rat into Shadow Flame if you really want to. But
okay, wow.
this is something that he didn't anticipate for sure.
Tice is going to lose a card here, but Anubarak being picked up by the mulch.
Okay, but he lost MC Tech, and the second one, what was the second one?
I didn't see what the second one was.
God damn it.
I was too excited about the Anubarak. Like it doesn't even matter too much what Tice loses. He now wins the late game with Anubarak. If he gets there.
And Enforcer, okay.
That's not the end of the world.
What was the second burn? Okay, now we see it. Demon Wrath?
Oh, Kuhn. It was Kuhn. No. Kuhn was the other. Ostkaka lost Kuhn.
Yeah, we
No, he's
didn't
got it
see
in
the
his
burn.
hand.
We didn't see the burn cards from Tice.
Right.
Well, too bad. Okay. So what is the turn for Tice here? 8 mana left. He didn't anticipate the Cold Light Oracle for sure, right? You can't really play around it.
Yeah, I doubt he's anticipating Alexstrasza either. This is a really awkward Dirty Rat now. He doesn't know this, but Dirty Rat 3 out of 4 times is terrible for you if you're Tice.
So what about Doomsayer? Because if you want to have a good turn for the next one, you play Doomsayer, you kind of build up the board, but at the same time, your opponent might be just skipping the turn. That means you can play Anubarak on curve on turn 9, which would be amazing.
Yep.
But the problem is, you probably would like to play the Dirty Rat
Yeah,
at
that's
the
what
same
I was
time.
thinking. It feels like the obvious play, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Bran?
Oh, he goes for a brand just like that.
Okay, sure. So he's thinking that Ostkaka can either deal with Doomsayer or deal with Bran, and if he only deals with one, then Ostkaka wins in some way.
So the brand lost a lot of value because of the fact that MC Tech is dead.
Yeah.
And what are the other battle cries that you might benefit from? Enforcer is dead, so you can't really Hellfire for 6.
Kazarkas, but probably not as important against a Druid deck, though it does seem to be a control-y style of Druid.
Alright. Well, this seems to be an interesting matchup. As a Drake into Swipe is always a good answer.
Yeah, but does it actually... Oh, Moonfire as well would allow him to clear the whole board.
Yeah. It seems like the way to go here.
Alright. But as we can see, there's nothing, at least in Tice's hand, that benefits from Bran. So I definitely like the decision to get rid of it there. You can Shadow Bolt as Drake now if you want to. You can, as you said before, you can play Anubarak this turn.
You can't really do that when you're already on 16, right? That's kind of
Right.
rough. I feel like this is the turn when you actually need to play the Reno Jackson.
Really?
Yeah.
Because it kind of, on one hand, it seems a little bit early.
I mean, it is early, but at the same time, you can't be so greedy with that card. When
Right.
you can make a comparison. Control decks were playing Healbot, right?
Yep.
And Healbot was a 5 mana card, 3 free stats, and heals for 8. In this situation, the Jackson costs 1 mana more, but you get an upside of +1 attack and
Right.
plus 3 health,
So it's
right?
way
And at the
better
same
than
time,
Healbot.
you heal for 14.
Yeah.
So for 6 mana, it seems like a great move, right? And Tice now figured out, most likely, that this build incorporates Malygos because he had seen that in the previous game from 6-0.
So he won't
knows-
play the Dirty Rat.
Yeah, so he will play the Dirty Rat when he will have already a removal in hand.
Okay.
So he can bait out maybe the Malagos, kill it instantly, and grind the matchup from that point. Oh my god, there's Aviana. Now he needs to pick up. Wait, does he?
Kun!
No, the Kun.
Refresh the hand! Oh my
Yeah.
goodness!
And that's game, right? How much damage is that? Because there's
Swipe and living roots.
swipe
Yeah,
and
that'll
living
do
roots,
it.
That should be it.
9+7.
What a turn!
Now that is how the Aviana Kun Malagos combo should look.
Wow. Well, when you you can say 4 legendary minions played in one turn alongside a swipe and a living roots to kill off his opponent.
I feel
What
a
a
little
play.
bit silly for scratching my head there. Like, why is there Alexstrasza and Malagos? Makes a lot of sense now.
Yeah, now we have the answer. The burst was insane. It seems like it's a build that will punish control decks, right? Unless you get Dirty Rat, and then kind of that breaks your
Yeah.
combo, right?
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
In this case, Thijs didn't have the time to play that, so too bad for him. Maybe he had time. He would have time if he would have a way of answering a minion that is already being played by different, right? So Siphon Soul or any hard removal in general. But now let's see how this Druid deck, which is interesting to
The interesting
watch.
thing you were just saying about how this punishes control is that everyone thought that's what Jade Druid was going to do. People
Yeah.
thought that Jade Idol would be the deck that counters control and counters fatigue. But it turns out having a deck with a combo this strong that can win by about turn 11, 12, it's probably a little bit more powerful generally than the Jade Druids are.
Yeah, true. Now let's see how we'll handle a more aggressive approach. I mean,
Right.
you're still playing the usual package, right? So Living Roots helps against early game.
Yep.
You have Swipe against 4 HP minions and some small pesky 1/1s or 2/1s. You have Wrath. You have. Wait, I think he doesn't play Druid to the Claws or Ancient of Wars. So
No,
actually,
I
the
don't
taunts
think
are
so.
low in numbers, if there are any actually.
Yeah, and also Cold Light Oracle is a card that I think is probably pretty weak against a Dragon Warrior.
Oh, definitely.
Dragon Warrior, he can play, as we can see, Thijs has a perfect curve right here. Nazoth's First Mate, into Fairy Dragon, into Frothing Berserker. He can use the War Axe at some point. He's going to run out of cards at some point, and Ostkaka is not going to want to be giving Thijs more cards.
True.
Thijs picks up the small-time Buccaneer there, so...
That is actually nuts.
Yeah, I mean, Patches with Nazoth's First Mate is going to clear the saplings really easily, and then Buccaneer comes down as well into Fiery War Axe next turn. Or
So-
Fairy Dragon.
So there's actually there's actually a question: do you kill both or not? And in most situations, you probably kill it because you want to avoid the hero power and one of the saplings
Yep.
trading into the Small-Time Buccaneer. But at the same time, if your opponent does that, then he can't play Wild Growth on turn 2. So it's the case of watching your opponent's mulligan. If your opponent just keeps like 3 cards or 2 cards, you
Okay,
can
sure.
be 100% sure that he has a Wild Growth. Might also be an Innervate. So sometimes you can actually not trade. It all depends of what your opponent will do and what's your curve.
I quite like the trade there, though. As the Dragon Warrior, your kind of end-game strategy is to take as much board control as you can. You're not necessarily in the game to aggro Ostkaka down in the first couple of turns. You can afford to wait, and then later you've got Draconid Crusher and other big cards like that.
Yeah,
So-
Crusher is an MVP.
Right.
It's like the 4 mana 7/7, although it costs 6 and it's 6/6.
Right.
So kind of worse, but still powerful.
Overstated cards.
Yeah. Still, my favorite meme is the 1 mana Jade Idol into 7/7. That's like my favorite meme.
You Shaman thought your 4-mana 7/7 was strong, yeah.
All right, what's happening in the castle for Ostkaka? Not a good turn at all. Like, the Cold Dead Oracle is just such a dead card.
Yeah, it's just...
Such a dead card.
It's got to be just Wrath Hero Power, surely. I don't think you can afford to play Mirekeeper.
I mean, if you do, you get 7 damage in return. Then you can trade with the Mirekeeper. But the problem is if your opponent has a Fear War Axe, you don't get to trade. And that means you're still getting killed. You're still getting damaged in the upcoming turns. So I like the Innervate, although that kind of leaves you with not a lot of options.
Right, yeah. Now you just have Cold Light Oracle in your hand, so
Which is pretty damn sweet in this matchup.
unless Ostkaka picks up something else really useful next turn. And we know there's a lot of dead cards that Ostkaka could pick up now. Alexstrasza's dead,
yeah.
Malagos is dead, Kuhn is dead. There are so many...
Aviana.
Aviana as well. There's so many of these combo pieces that if Ostkaka picks up now, that it's just a nightmare for him.
Yeah. It's not looking decent for Ostkaka, but now that's a tough situation. Your opponent has one card in hand. You know it was mulliganed away, so you have no clue what it is. It might be something endgame. It might be still a swipe. So if you play the Frothing Berserker, you can't really trade with your opponent unless you sacrifice the Fairy Dragon. But then you have only a 4/4 and a 1/1 which likes to swipe, and you're kind of sad.
Yeah.
So then you just refill with the monkey. I guess it's okay. Thijs went for it, so he just hopes his opponent doesn't have the swipe.
Yeah, and Ostkaka is wishing he had anything that resembles a swipe. The Curator, 1 mana too expensive. Does he now have to play Cold Light Oracle?
He has to, otherwise there's no way he can win.
Oh, he does run an Ancient of
okay,
War.
there's an Ancient of War. Okay. Not bad, because actually it will be very impactful when your opponent will be at 5 mana and you're at 7.
Yep.
So it kind of makes it awkward to trade.
Problem is-
Although, there's still the Frothing Berserker.
Yeah, that Frothing Berserker needs to go sometime soon. It's close to having 10, 11 damage, so it's going to be, at this rate, killing Ancient of War in 1 hit, and Ostkaka cannot let that happen.
So he needs to answer this Frothing Berserker before he drops the Ancient of War, but there's only 1 mulch and 2 swipes in the deck. Well, it can still be... Oh, he just goes for the Ancient of War. He didn't go for Azure Drake Wrath top
Well,
deck.
we've seen 1 Wrath already, so I guess the chances... And Ostkaka still has 20 cards left in his deck, so
Yeah,
the
yeah.
chances of seeing this second Wrath was so slim.
5%? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not really high, right?
So, unfortunately, for Ostkaka, that Frothing Berserker is just going to tear that Ancient of War into shreds.
Wasn't it better to just play the Curator then?
What now?
It's also for 7 mana. It has 6 HP. So it can die to a weapon or to a Blackwing Corruptor with the monkey, which is sad. Adds +3 on attack on the Frothing Berserker and get hit by 10 and 2 from the slime. Leaves you at 5.
I guess putting up the
it's
Ancient of
really
War pretty much guarantees, or almost guarantees, that the Frothing Berserker himself has to trade. The Curator would have allowed the Frothing Berserker to live and just keep growing, although... okay, Frothing Berserker goes in. Yeah, that definitely worked out better, because now the Curator could come down next turn, and at least you're not letting Frothing Berserker just get bigger and bigger and
That's
bigger.
true. Good point. Okay, now Curator doesn't drop a 1-drop because Ostkaka doesn't play a 1-drop.
Another Cold Light Oracle.
Okay, well this deck seems to be really like tailored toward fashion, tailored toward control matchups. Sorry, I have no clue why did I say that word at all.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So it was always going to struggle with this dragon deck, and I mean, Ostkaka didn't queue it into the dragon deck. He queued it into the Reno lock because he wanted to beat the Reno lock with it. It is a shame for him that he's not going to get the chance to play against Thijs's Priest with this deck.
It's like probably a free win.
Yeah, exactly. But he's going to have to fight a little bit harder, and swipe gets picked
helps
up.
here.
I
I mean, you're still not dead from the board if you do that.
no, but we can see Fiery Warwicks would still be lethal, wouldn't it? Or would it? Yeah, it would.
Yeah, no wait, it wouldn't be, because you're still at 7 and your opponent will have 6 attack, so that's not enough. Because you kill the Azure Drake.
Oh,
There's a
right,
monkey
of course.
left.
You kill the 2/2 as well.
Right, what's the top deck? Kuhn.
Oh, if he had one more turn, if Ostkaka had one more turn, that Kuhn would be amazing.
Kuhn into Alexstrasza to kill yourself.
Oh, he's ready to concede.
There it is. 4 mana from the Corcoran Elite to finish up game number 3. Thijs takes it 2-1 against Ostkaka.
Yeah,
so match point.
Big game for Thijs then. If he wins this next game, he's through into Sunday's games.
Actually, that's very important. This is the double elimination stage,
Yeah.
right? So both of those guys are playing here to just go through and chill for the rest of the day. It's actually a huge advantage when you think
and
about
also
it.
tomorrow.
Yeah, you just don't play till tomorrow. You can just watch the games, make notes, basically, and
For Doomhammer.
that's kind of neat. But if you lose, you need to play in the losers. Sorry, not the losers game, but the decider match
Yeah.
against someone who will be coming up from the losers match. So Now the Shaman is being drawn, and the Shaman seems to have a decent opener. Tunnel Trog is always a good opener, but now Milestone Portal seems like a keeper as well, especially with the number of one-drops that Warrior is playing.
Yeah, absolutely. Against N'Zoth's first mate, against Patches, just those cards alone kind of warrants the Maelstrom Portal. Interesting that Ostkaka is also running Aya in his Shaman deck. I don't think people necessarily at first thought that she would be a card that fits in Shaman above the Druid, but we've already seen Aya twice in Shaman today. This is the second time.
Yeah, I actually tested a lot this build of Shaman with the Aya, and I feel like she's not that impactful. Sometimes when she wins games, it's really a blowout, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like super necessary to have it in the deck. You can just switch it for something else, you know, and you won't feel that much of a difference. But at the same time, you have Jade Claws, you have the Jade Lightning,
right,
and that alone kind of guarantees that Aya will at least get you a 3/3 and a 4/4.
Yeah,
right?
and it's great when your hand is kind of starting to run a little bit dry. I was wondering if Ostkaka was going to go with Tunnel Trog or play Maelstrom Portal here. He goes to the Maelstrom Portal, decides that clearing this board as quickly as possible is too important, and Blood Imp could actually do some things this game.
This is very, let's say...
We haven't seen a Ravaging Ghoul in Thijs's Warrior.
And there will be no Ravaging Ghoul, I'm 100% sure.
So that Blood Imp can just sit there for the entire game, buffing minions a little bit.
Yeah, it's very annoying.
Oh,
Patch is being drawn,
no.
a horrible draw for Ostkaka. It's one of the most annoying things that can happen to you.
Yeah. But that's what happened when you start with no pirates in your hand. If Ostkaka was able to play a pirate on turn 1, maybe he'd have done that and Patches would have come out then. But unfortunately, this is the equivalent of drawing nothing, or I guess drawing a Stone Tusk Boar. It's just completely useless.
Yeah. It's not exactly nothing, but it's annoying as hell, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So, well, the hero powers are not great either. I mean, Fire Blast is not bad. It's kind of like the dagger, but you don't lose health, which might be important to deal with Frothing Berserk as an example, because you can play Lightning Bolt and Fire Blast it, so it's kind of treated like spell damage.
Yep. The dagger is interesting too now, though. Whereas in the past, I think the rogue hero power was one that you'd never take from Finley.
You mean Small Time Buccaneers?
Yeah, well, because of Small Time Buccaneer now, you could go with the dagger and actually have it pay off.
Yeah, but at the same time, you play 4 weapons in the deck.
Right, yeah.
So, it's kind of iffy. If the hero power, the rogue hero power, would have still had the option of buffing the weapon like it had in beta, that would have been nuts. Then you always take it in this deck.
Yeah, that is long gone, though.
Yeah. It's not possible anymore. Awkward turn.
Oh
my god.
Thijs cannot do any. He can armor up. That's it. That's his turn.
He can armor up and kill the Trog, and I guess that's the play.
Yep.
So it's kind of sad, but at the same time, Ostkaka did draw the patches, so it's kind of like 1 for 1.
Right. Okay. So both players had a pretty unfortunate turn there.
Yeah.
Ostkaka now able to completely come back, play Feral Spirit. The Fairy Dragon's a little bit awkward. Obviously, you can't ping it with his hero power. Patches or Spirit Claws could be a method to deal with it, or maybe he just trades Finley in and plays Feral Spirit.
I feel like this... Yeah, the claw is really nice, to be honest. You lost the possibility of having a buffed Spirit Claw unless you get to draw a Thalnos,
right,
which makes it kind of bad. So I like getting value out of it immediately.
Okay. Now, though, Thijs, although he didn't have anything to play last turn, he's got either an amazing trade with Corcoran Elite, just wiping out Finley and taking 1 damage, or he can play the Twilight Guardian.
I feel like trading right now is way better because your opponent can play a Flame Tongue Totem.
Yep.
And that guarantees him a trade, basically, because you have 6 damage on board with the weapon, and that only takes 2 mana from your turn. Oh, and you have still Fire Blast, so you don't even need to use the weapon, basically.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
And getting value out of a minion from Milestone Portal and the Finley, I feel like it's way more valuable. You know, and it still wouldn't die.
Right.
Like it's still 1/4, right? So you would need to play the Twilight Guardian, trade into the Finley to set it up on 1/3.
Yeah.
So I really like the Corcoran Elite way better.
No, I agree with you. It just seems very, very clean. Although Thijs isn't sure he is going to go with the Elite. Okay.
It's not an easy choice, that's for sure.
No, I've been speaking to a lot of players over the last few days, and generally they've all been saying that with the latest expansion, there are just a lot more decisions to make nowadays. The new cards are actually more complicated than the old cards.
I love that point. Man.
Yeah,
I love that.
A lot of them were saying they like how there's so many more control decks that are top tier at the moment because they require more decision making.
Yep.
Here we go. Tice made the decision. Now he's going to have to see whether or not it pays off. Jade Claws, not a bad card for Ostkaka to pick up, although he's probably going to want to try and get some value from his Spirit Claws first.
Well, he can use the patches, right? The patches basically has the same use as Fire Blast this turn when you play Feral Spirits. The problem is, when you have it already in hand, the patches is kind of better when you draw the Flame Totem, because then it acts like a charge minion, like a Wolf Rider for 1 mana.
Yeah.
Right? So it's way more beneficial. So I wouldn't blame him for using just the Jade Claws and pinging. I mean, trading, pinging, and that's about it. And then turn 5, you go for Feral Spirits and ping. Was not better as well, but he goes for the Feral Spirits now because he had seen one Coconut Elite, which usually is the best answer to like kind of trade with one of those wolves, and no Fear War Axe for Tights.
To be fair, as well for Ostkaka, picking up the patches very, very early, I don't think he's actually drawn a single pirate yet this game.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So actually, there was a very high chance of Ostkaka picking up patches at some point.
Azure Drake being played on 10-5.
Wow, okay. So Jade Lightning, unfortunately, just out of reach because of that overload. But this could warrant a Lava Burst.
Yeah, definitely. Good answer, and can still have mana for Jade Lightning next turn. So as second Azure Drake, an example, would just be dealt with ease. Frothing Berserker, dealt with ease. Cochrane Elite, the same. I mean, with Cochrane Elite, you can just use whatever you have on board. Or the ping. No, sorry, you can't, because you don't have the 2 mana. But in general, I like this. I like this Lava Burst a lot.
Yeah, you don't really like putting the Lava Burst anywhere other than the face, but in that situation, it worked out really well. And we have a second one.
But if you play the second one, then you have an awkward 5 mana turn.
Jade Lightning's just too good, isn't it? You trade the weaker Feral Spirit. Or
and you build the board at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's a 1-1. Your Jade Claws are building a 2-2 next turn, which is already huge of value. So I really like the Jade Lightning here. And it's also more mana efficient at the same time. So definitely better.
And look at that Blood Imp still doing work. We have a 2-5 Feral Wolf on the board. Might be a 2-6. Let's see a 1-2 Jade Golem, which wouldn't be quite as impressive. But
that's when you think about it, because the Warrior doesn't have a single AoE card nowadays.
Right.
So the Blood Imp is actually quite impactful, I would say. Whether it land 1-2 Jade Golem doesn't really make it more impressive, but
actually that Cochrane Elite Frothing Berserker would be okay this turn, because Cochrane Elite and Weapon just deal with the Feral Spirit. Frothing Berserker just gets huge.
Yeah, I like this a lot. The Berserker gets a 5-4, and the opponent kinda needs to trade with the Cochrane Elite, so either he uses his hero power, that leaves him with 3. Not a lot of options in those 3 mana open when you already use a Lava Burst.
Yeah, he'd have to just play the second Lava Burst, and at that point, what's going to hit Tice in the face ever?
I mean,
Doomhammer eventually.
Face, right? But at the same time, when Tice will see both Lava Bursts, he will be like, yeah, my big minions now are really hard to deal with.
Yeah.
Because they will just take it board control, you know?
He suddenly all of Tice's taunts will become really good as well.
Wait, what do you think about actually Blood to Ichor instead of Frothing Berserker? Blood to Ichor into AlliedEsports champion?
Oh, that's a really strong turn, actually. I like the Frothing Berserker just because it sets up a huge Frothing Berserker. But you're right.
It doesn't this matchup. Because you will grind out the Shaman at this point. Like, the development of the game kind of said that this will be like an exhaustion match.
Right.
It doesn't go around. It's not the damage is not important. Your opponent will just concede at some point, you know. And then that means in this situation, I feel like the AlliedEsports champion would have been putting more pressure at the same time, because you kill the 1-2. Your opponent needs to use the ping, and that puts him on 5 mana, right?
Yeah,
it's kind of awkward. So, yeah.
Okay. Now, a really awkward turn for Ostkaka here. I feel like we've been saying that almost every turn this game. It's been really awkward turns for both sides.
Yeah.
But you have to kill the Frothing Berserker. You just can't let it live. And as nice as Aya looks this turn, I don't think he can afford to play her.
And that's awkward.
Yeah, that's the awkward part. Ping, Jade Claws, Lava Burst works. Next turn he can play Aya. But...
Alright, because if the Overlord, one additional Overlord from Jade Claws would prevent him from playing Aya. So yeah, no option to do that. Turn 8 for Tice. A lot of options, actually.
double Twilight Guardian just looks horrible if you're sitting where Ostkaka is right now. Given that both Lava Bursts are gone, and there's no spell damage anyway, so Lava Burst doesn't even... oh, I guess Lava Burst ping would have dealt with one.
Yeah. So Fire Blast in form of a spell damage, right? But
Yeah.
that's the first pirate being drawn, but not enough mana to use any other cards than Aya.
Yeah, and we're 12 cards into the deck, so Ostkaka can't exactly expect to always get patches from a pirate in his deck if he's...
I mean, he's playing 4, right?
Yeah.
With 2 deckhands and 2 small-time buccaneers.
In that case, 1 in 5 chance to pick up the patches first. Unfortunately, that's going to happen 1 in 5 games, this being one of them.
But look at that. This turn is also nuts when you think about it. You probably want to play both AlliedEsports Champion and the Black Crusher because of the reason that there's only 1 dragon left. So if you'll play the Crusher this turn, it's kind of like, you know what, I'm gonna rely on top decking a dragon next turn, so that's kind of sad. So way better to just utilize those AlliedEsports Champion synergies with the Black Crusher right now, even though the perfect mana usage, but I think it's okay.
Yeah, it seems pretty good.
You just ignore Aya, right? There's no point in killing her.
I mean, even if you do kill her, she only creates a 3/3 Jade Golem.
So, okay, there's a point of using the Black Corruptor to trade with Aya with the free damage, and then you can kill one of the golems, the 3/3 golem, with one of your Twilight Guardians, right?
Thijs running out of time here, though.
I think he goes all in and just plays an aggressive.
Yep, okay, you get a 9/9 for 6 mana, can't complain about that.
Okay, so he actually played the Crusher. Okay.
Ooh, Flame Tongue Totem, is that what we'd call a punish?
But, okay, let's say he plays the Flame Totem, right? Aya kills one of the Twilight Guardians.
Yep.
And
Salty Deckhand and Ping and Spirit
and now
Claws
look
do
at
as well.
that. The placement of the Aya is horrible.
Yeah.
It's horrible. Actually, I would say a misplay in this situation because Ostkaka knows that he has Flame Tongue Totem in his deck, and Aya always prevents to have the second left minion the minion on the left to have a synergy with that. So now the Blood'em will not give him anything here. And that actually means a lot. Still, the deckhand can be used for 4 damage.
That's an extra 4 damage. And then with the ping and with the Spirit Claws as well, that does allow Ostkaka to easily deal with both taunts. The question is what he does after that. His Jade Golem can deal with one of the weaker minions, but no matter what, Thijs still has a 9/9 on the board.
Oh, nice one. Yeah, and that's about it. Ostkaka doesn't see a way of winning this game and concedes to Thijs, who is advancing from Group A with a perfect score 2-0, 3-1.